There is an unforgivable sin in the patched life, a betrayal colder than any winter road. It is not turning your back on the law. That is our daily bread. It is turning your back on the patch, the shield you wear, the family you swore to die for. We called him Silas, a nomad for the Iron Cross MC, a man who swore loyalty with blood and fire. But on one cold October night, Silas broke the unbreakable oath. He ran. The reason was simple, yet devastating: a child. Silas was not built for softness. He was all edges and shadows, the kind of man who could dislocate a shoulder with a handshake. He rode hard, fought clean, and never asked questions. He was the definition of an outlaw, respected by us, feared by everyone else. But 3 months ago, while staking out a rival crew's stash house in a forgotten corner of the city, Silas saw something that scraped the hardened shell right off his soul. He saw Lila. Lila was 8 years old, skinny and silent, living in the shack adjacent to the stash house. Her father, a low-level addict named Mickey, was deep in debt to our rivals, the Scythes. The Scythes weren't like us. We deal in honor and controlled violence. They deal in suffering. They were using Mickey's shack not just for storage, but for something far darker. A makeshift lockup for debtors' families, a twisted leverage point. Lila was collateral. Silas watched for weeks. He saw the Scythe's president, a viper named Crank, treat Lila with a casual cruelty that made the bile rise in Silas's throat. He saw the cold fear in her eyes. It was a mirror reflecting a past Silas had buried under layers of steel and leather, the ghost of the lost child he once was. Our club, the Iron Cross, operates on a strict policy. We stay clean of civilians, especially kids. We are the necessary evil, the shadow government of the highway, but we do not prey on the innocent. When Silas brought the situation to our president DEACON, a man whose wisdom was as vast as his scars, the answer was absolute and chilling. Silas, DEACON's voice was like grinding gravel. The Scythe's territory is a powder keg. If we intervene for a civilian, we declare all-out war. That war costs patches and it costs lives. We hold the line. The child is collateral. It is not our problem. The words were policy, but they were a dagger to Silas's gut. He walked away from that table knowing the truth. His club, his family, had chosen their territory and their profits over a small, scared girl. The outlaw code, his code of road justice, suddenly felt hollow, a paper shield against real evil. That night, Silas made his choice. A choice that meant exile. A choice that meant running from his own brothers. He waited until the dead hour, 3 a.m., when the club was deep in the sleep of the righteous. He took his bike, his sidearm, and a single silent promise. He didn't leave a note. He didn't say goodbye. He rode straight to the shack. The Scythe's watchman, a hulking brute named Bronk, was asleep, head slumped over his shotgun. Silas moved with the trained lethality of an apex predator. A quick, efficient strike, and Bronk was silenced forever. The act was surgical, necessary, and devoid of remorse. Silas found Lila huddled under a filthy blanket, her eyes springing open immediately, accustomed to sudden terror. "I'm Silas. I'm getting you out of here," he whispered, his voice startlingly gentle for such a rough man. Lila didn't speak. She just nodded, her small hand instinctively gripping the fringe of his leather cut. That touch, that moment of trust from the utterly helpless, sealed his new destiny. He was no longer just Silas, the nomad. He was Silas, the guardian. They rode out on his custom Harley, a ghost fleeing a nightmare. Lila was strapped securely to his back, hidden beneath a spare, oversized jacket. The roar of the V-twin engine was a defiance aimed at the world he was leaving behind. By dawn, the news reached the Iron Cross clubhouse. The Scythes had found Bronk, and worse, found the girl gone. Crank, the Scythe's president, sent a clear message. The man who stole our property is a dead man. The club who harbors him is a cinder. DEACON knew immediately it was Silas. Only a patched man could move that efficiently without leaving a trace for the rivals. But DEACON's pride and the club's standing could not allow this insubordination. He called a meeting under the patch. "Silas has broken the code," DEACON announced, his voice booming with forced authority. He jeopardized the club for a civilian. He stole property from a rival. The Iron Cross does not shelter traitors. Silas is dispatched. If he is found, he is to be treated as a hostile. No one helps him. No one speaks his name. The command was devastating. Silas was cut adrift, an outlaw with no home, no backup, and every club on the eastern seaboard watching for the bounty the Scythes immediately placed on his head. Silas and Lila disappeared into the desolate landscape of the mid-state, heading for the only safe haven he knew, a forgotten, semi-abandoned town called Sanctuary, nestled deep in the mountains, a place only known to a few old-timers and smugglers. They stopped only for gas, living on packaged protein and canned water. Lila finally started talking. Small, hesitant questions that broke Silas's silence like cracking ice. "Are you a bad guy?" she asked once, while he was cleaning the soot off her face with a scrap of cloth. Silas looked at his hands, calloused and scarred, hands that had taken lives and broken bones. "I am an outlaw, kid, but not all outlaws are bad guys. Some of us just believe that the law isn't always justice, and sometimes running from your family is the only way to protect the innocent." He was running from the patch, but he was running to his own newly realized code. His honor was no longer tied to the Iron Cross. It was tied to the small, trusting weight riding behind him. Silas was alone, hunted, and fighting a two-front war against the Scythes and his own former brothers. The night he ran from his own patch had not ended. It had just begun. The pursuit was closing in, and Silas knew that his next stand would be his last. Sanctuary was less a town and more a wound in the earth carved into the granite spine of the Appalachians. It had once thrived on mining, but now it was dominated by silence, empty storefronts, and the oppressive presence of the surrounding forest. Silas knew the terrain, rugged, unforgiving, perfect for a man who needed to disappear. He secured a dilapidated hunting cabin far from the single main road, a structure so old the forest was trying to reclaim it. For 2 weeks, they lived by instinct. Silas hunted small game, cleaned his weapons daily, and built a system of crude alarms, tripped wires and hanging metal scraps to alert him to visitors. He was teaching Lila survival skills, the raw necessities of life outside the rules. He found that in protecting her, he was, paradoxically, protecting the last vestige of his own humanity. He was an outlaw, reduced to his core, protector, provider, warrior. But the world of the patch has long memory and long reach. The Scythes, led by the relentless Crank, had trackers who specialized in scenting fear and following bike tracks off the beaten path. They found Sanctuary. The warning came not from the Scythes, but from the Iron Cross. A single encrypted radio message crackled through Silas's salvaged shortwave setup, a relic from his club days. It was Redline, a fellow Nomad and Silas's only true friend in the Iron Cross. "Silas, they know. Crank is bringing 10 men. They are moving fast. They told DEACON you are dead or returned by sundown. DEACON, he gave the order. He sent 3 men to confirm. To finish what you started. Run, brother. I'm giving you 20 minutes. The betrayal stung like acid, but the warning was a lifeline. DEACON, the man who preached honor, had ordered his execution. Silas was now being hunted by both the devil and the deep blue sea. The 3 men sent by the Iron Cross were men he had trained, men he considered family. That confrontation would be far harder than facing Crank's brutes. He looked at Lila, sleeping soundly in the corner, covered by his worn riding blanket. He couldn't run with her this time. He had to draw the fire to himself. "Lila," he whispered, gently shaking her awake. "We're playing a game now. The best hide-and-seek player wins." He led her to a narrow, hidden cave opening behind a waterfall, a spot known only to the original founders of Sanctuary. He gave her his knife and his flashlight. "Stay silent. Stay hidden. No matter what you hear, I'm going to draw the bad guys away. When the sun hits that rock," he pointed to a specific ledge, "you walk down to the river and follow it south until you see a white mailbox. You tell the person there that Silas sent you. Understand?" Lila, tearful but utterly determined, nodded. She was no longer the silent victim. She was a survivor in training. Silas left the cave and moved back to the cabin. He had 20 minutes to prepare a battlefield. He set up 2 explosive distractions using old mining flares and scattered empty shell casings near the main road to suggest he had fled east. But his real ambush was centered on the cabin itself. He took up position on a rocky outcrop overlooking the cabin's clearing, his long-range rifle resting on the granite. The sun was dipping below the ridge, bathing the clearing in a bruised orange light. First came the Iron Cross. 3 bikes, engines idling softly. Ghoul, Bull, and Rico. They didn't look like executioners. They looked like lost brothers. Ghoul dismounted first, his face a mask of grief. "Silas, we know you're here. Deacon says you have to come in. We ride back, take the Scythes' heat, and you face the consequences under the patch." "Don't do this, brother." Silas knew the lie in the air. The consequences would be a slow, torturous death to satisfy Crank. The patch turned its back on an innocent ghoul. Silas yelled, his voice echoing off the rocks. "That patch is tainted. My honor is not theirs anymore." Before Ghoul could respond, the sound of heavy engines ripped through the valley. The Scythes, 10 loud, brutal machines led by Crank, who was visibly enraged. Crank spotted the Iron Cross bikes immediately. Well, look what the dog dragged in. Iron Cross playing defense for the rat? You just signed your death warrant, Deacon's dogs. Crank roared. The chaos Silas had planned for had arrived prematurely. The Iron Cross men, driven by instinct and loyalty to their own, reacted immediately to the threat. Ghoul drew his pistol. The fight became a 3-way deadly confusion. The Scythes hunting Silas, the Iron Cross hunting Silas, and then suddenly, the Iron Cross fighting the Scythes to protect their own territory's integrity, regardless of the traitor. Silas did not hesitate. His rifle was aimed not at his former brothers, but at Crank's lead men. He was applying road justice to the true predators, saving the only family he had left, the 3 men who were still fighting under a misguided oath. Crack. The first Scythe fell, then the second. Silas was a phantom sniper, thinning the Scythe's numbers with cold, surgical efficiency. The Iron Cross men, suddenly finding their rivals dropping around them, realized Silas was covering their flank. Crank saw the ambush. He saw the fire coming from the ridge. He saw the betrayal. He screamed and charged the cabin, believing Silas was inside. Silas dropped the rifle and sprinted down the ridge, timing his arrival perfectly. Crank burst through the cabin door only to find it empty. That's when Silas hit him, a blur of movement honed by desperation. The fight was short, brutal, and conclusive. Silas was fighting for survival. Crank was fighting for money and ego. Survival always wins. Crank was neutralized, his reign of terror over. The last sound Silas heard before mounting his bike was the arrival of the local sheriff, too late, as always. He had fulfilled his obligation. He had saved Lila, and in doing so, he had saved the honor of the road. He was an outlaw on the run, running from his patch, but toward the truest version of the code he had ever known. He was a fugitive hero, disappearing into the cold, clean air of the mountains with a single, small white mailbox waiting somewhere south, a beacon of hope in a world of shadows.